Hi, dear humans. It's been a while since I've been here. I wanted to share with you some things that have been going on. So in the outside world and also our inner world where we can have a totally different reality. But it doesn't mean there's not these ripple effects and how to stay above that. There's all kinds of things that have been going on for the last couple years, as we know. And of course, way, way, way before that. We all know that. But there were periods too that even though I was trying to stay on a higher vibration and live really in a different wavelength, there's those around us that pull us back in, pull us into an energy field that we don't really want to be in, but they're our friends. And we end up kind of examining maybe too much and entering that realm. So it's almost like we're at this higher, it's almost like a radio frequency where you're at here, and then there's another frequency here, 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 here. And we don't want to go down on those lower frequencies. That does not mean that we're not aware of what's going on in the world. That doesn't mean we turn a blind eye. Absolutely not. I am not saying that for 1 second, but there's a place of the observer. We can watch what's going on and be the observer and then just keep raising our vibration. So we are contributing to what's going on these lower frequencies. But like all of us, we are human. And I found myself going through confusion and depression at times, and then transformation. And it's been kind of this rotating pattern. And each time I do it, I go, what is really going on here? When I go into that kind of being off and almost feeling like this sense of, I guess, depression would be the word. And then I have to say, what's going on that's affecting me in here? And actually, the natives said about the place that I live, that it's actually a place you come to heal or die. And I can see that. And I came to heal. So the last few years, I came to heal and clean up all old relationships that no longer served me. And that could be healing them on many levels that either allow that person to be fully in your life when you can come and even humble yourself. You don't need to be right. You don't need to be wrong. You can just humble yourself to listen to their pain and their frustrations and their reality, even though their reality has nothing to do with how you viewed a situation. It's their reality. And it's not your business when you try to, how do we say it? When I try to correct somebody's reality of what happened, truly happened, and they're coming back and say, no, it didn't happen that way. It happened this way. And when we try to argue or defend ourselves, we are on the wrong side of the teeter-totter. Instead of being in the center of that neutral observer, we become, it's like going up and down, and we get nowhere. So when we can humble ourselves and go, of course, that's their reality. It's not mine, but it's theirs. And I want to honor it. Otherwise, we keep getting stuck in the past and we never go forward. I don't want to deal with the past. I saw a quick little bleep from Dr. Zach Bush. It's just such a heartfelt man. It was kneeling at the altar of your past. How many of us kneel at the altar and worship our past and therefore can never heal whatever it was or move forward? When we're wishing for what we had before, perhaps, that we've lost, when we go back there and whine or complain or, oh my God, how did that happen? Or whatever it is, we are sitting at the altar of the past and we are stuck. So the now can't unfold as it is designed to, divinely designed to. So that is something that it really stuck with me. And I was really grateful for that, because I thought, how many times do I sit at the altar of the past? I don't want to do that. I don't want to glorify the past, because this opportunity right now, what's happening right now, is where I want to go. So when we can be humble and allow lovingly someone else's view, it transcends both of us. So there was many relationships that were actually healed, and some that I was peacefully able to say, I'm done. I'm done with those relationships. They're just people that, as long as they're getting something, that's not a true friend. Those aren't friends. When they're getting something, then they show up. But when you really need them, they're not there. And they have excuses, but you're there for them. And then that's why it's important to go, wow, this is not a reciprocal relationship, and it doesn't feel good anymore. And so we also have to examine what our motives are for staying in something. Like, oh, I have this benefit and that benefit. But what I'm doing then is selling my soul, because I know the relationship doesn't feel good anymore, and I have to let it go. So we heal that within ourselves. And once we heal it in ourselves, the reason we called this person into our lives in the first place, once we've healed whatever the message is that they came to give us, unconsciously, most of the times they don't even realize that's what they were doing. Once we heal that, we get to move on, and those relationships can fall away, and they can fall away with ease and grace. So I guess what I wanted to share was that, yes, we're all going to go through some very strange times. Part of my depression, so to speak, was when I realized that most of the world didn't see what I was seeing at the very beginning of this pandemic. They didn't see it. And I couldn't believe they couldn't see it. And so I felt really, really alone. I did find a handful of people that I could talk to, that we agreed on things, but there were so few that could actually be true to their heart and soul, what they knew. They succumbed to some of the pressures. That was not something I could not compromise. I will not compromise. And the only time I did was for one of these friends that really wanted me to do something. And I ran into this place, picked out the thing, and then ran back out. And I put it kind of over my face, and then I pulled it down the minute I got in. But I never felt good about that, because I then was agreeing to, I was abiding by the rules of fascists, and that's not okay. We don't do that. We don't sell our soul for anyone. If this person really needed me to pick which picture frame, I could have had that person bring it to the front door and show me, just bring me a collection. But instead, I succumbed. I betrayed myself and thought, okay, fine, and just ran in and did it and ran out. But still, it's no time in our history right now to betray ourselves. And this is what my book's about, and that's what I'll be focusing on now. I'm letting go of the design. The only thing I'm going to do with design is that if somebody's fronting the funds, my financier, and then I will do the design part and be absolutely in control of what's going on. Otherwise, I've let that go. I'm going to be just doing, well, I shouldn't say just, because it's really powerful and really important now. And I've had so many clients in the past that have asked me to go back to doing mentoring, to doing coaching, life coaching, and really transforming their lives and taking them out of the old story and showing them their potential. And that's why I always go to the core, to the root of what it is immediately. So once we clear the root, everything else shifts. Everything else shifts. You're not going this little incident and this little incident, and then you keep going backwards. You go with what's happening now. And then in that session, I'm taking you back to where that feeling first came up. It could be you were 1 year old, 2 years old, you could have been just born, whatever it was, whatever comes up. And once we can heal that, and it is a beautiful process, and it's like the whole story of your life shifts. You see it from a whole nother perspective and allows us to go forward. So that's the transformational part. My book is about that also, about relationships. It's about trust. It's about surrender. It's about allowing the energy of nature and the divine to come through us to present to us what it is we're supposed to do in every moment. And that is when it's beautiful. When we don't go on social media much, we pay more attention to nature. We pay more attention to the inner voice that starts to get louder and louder as we respond to it, as we carry through what we are being asked in the moment. So it is a time that I'm requesting everyone I know not to keep going back to the total negatives of the world. Yes, we are or could be on the brink of destruction. But if we are, then gosh forbid that we don't show up in these moments exactly where we want to, with whom we want to, and expressing love and joy and compassion and being humble in life in every moment. So that is really important to me, because then we don't want to bring that old karma, even if this planet's destroyed. And these elites think they're going under the ground to their $100 million bunkers that they've had built for many, many years. Well, I think what I read was, I'm sure there's more, there's those that will have more than that, but it's like a year's supply of recirculating air and keeping all that out. And they're like sealed down there in their luxurious quarters. So they don't give a shit, the 1%, what happens to us. But they're going to be a little surprised when they realize that radiation doesn't just disappear in a year. And there could be, fruit on trees when they come up, but it will be toxic, because it's just like Tulsi Gabbard talked about going to Chernobyl. And she was saying that they said all these years later, do not eat the fruit on the trees because it's still poisonous. So, I don't know, people are crazy, and allow them to be crazy. And we all have to learn how we were meant to learn. And some of them are really, really tough lessons. And others, they've gone through enough transformation so that they can be aware of what's going on. And that's why this whole 2.5 years, I'm trying to be as compassionate as possible to those that are so fear-based that they have just gone along with an agenda. And, bless them. And we can't criticize them, because that's their journey. That's their journey. We each know. And when it's not our time, that we can't even hear someone else. Doesn't matter how factual their information, how great it is, whatever. I remember when I was, 31, 32, when I got really, really sick, and I realized that the doctors were not, the Western medicine was not helping me. It was making me worse and worse and worse, that I finally had to say, enough, there's another way. I know there's a natural, nature-given way to us. We've been provided for everything. Look what has been given to us to survive, to have healthy lives. And even though humanity keeps polluting and doing all the crazy stuff they do, nature keeps recovering. And yes, there's a point where she won't for a very long time, but it's to our demise. She will eventually come back and renourish and regrow. So I had to get to that point of thinking about writing a will for my 5-year-old daughter, walking away from something that then I found out had an agenda that totally did not support health and wellness. It actually supported sickness. And therefore, I had to find a new way. But I had to learn that. And if somebody had told me before that, I probably wouldn't have listened. So each one of us, we have to be compassionate. In its own time, others will come to that too. So I invite you to reach out or share with me what's going on in your life right now. I hope it's uplifting and positive. It doesn't mean there aren't some alerts. If we're pushing this leader that's creating war into a corner, there's going to be a point where he feels trapped like an animal and may just push the button. And therefore, instead of supporting and trying, when we really don't know, Americans are so far more in the dark than other countries about really what's going on, say, in a country and why something happened to begin with. We have to be very careful to support things that we really don't know behind the scenes. So we can send love and we can send compassion, but we need to really be careful of our words and not always calling someone the villain that maybe isn't any different from, I'll leave it at that. Anyway, so I hope you're having some real clarity. And as I mentioned before, the more I listened to that quiet voice within me and responded, the more information that comes and the louder it gets. And that was part of why I came to the realization my book was really, really important. It's about relationships. It's about love and trust and surrender and, you know, the importance of what's coming and what is and what's coming, and how we need to stay in that centered, beautiful place and keep listening. Pay attention to be led to communities of people that really support what we believe and who we are, and be in that environment that's going to support that the best. So even if there's destruction on the whole planet, at least live right now, fully enjoy and compassion and the highest vibration you can. And let everybody else, if that's what they need, to live in their fear, to live in their angst, to live in their judgments, let them do that and just send love. Okay. Have a really, really beautiful day. I sent you love and I send you clarity.